We're live. All right. Hey, everybody. This is Karen and Marcia and our special guest, Kim. This is our second Combos Continued episode. In our podcast today, the episode that dropped today, we talked about how to have like a successful back to school mindset and just set you and your child or children up for success going back to school with everything being so uncertain, like hybrid, virtual, in person, like it's all kind of crazy. And so, like, how do we focus on what we know, what we can control, and like just ourselves and them, and making sure our kids can have the best year possible, even with everything being so different and uncertain and not the way we all would want it to be. So, we're going to chat with Kim. Kim is a reading consultant, a former teacher, a mom of three. So, I mean, who else could be an expert on this if it's not her? So,
yeah, we had to call the experts in because Karen and I are like, we're just doing what we're supposed to do, we think. So it's nice to have him in our back pocket. Yeah,
absolutely.
I thought your podcast was great. You had a lot of great points in there about, being the example. I really think it's time to like get our mindset into like, this is happening. Nobody wants it to happen. We're all kind of stressed about it, but like, we can't show that stress to our kids. And you really touched on that a lot in your episode this week. So, that was great.
Marcia, did you want to recap a little more before we start grilling Kim?
Yeah. It's going to be really tough because we're like really close friends with her. So it's like, I told the ladies, I was like, I'm glad we got like a little zhuzhed up because we co-work together in the mornings. Like they do like 5 days a week. I'm at 3 days a week, but we're online and it's but anyway, so we're going to try to keep it professional here. But yeah, with Kim, she brought up that we said that, to try to control the amount of stress that we're showing to our kids. Another thing that we touched on in the podcast episode today was having a routine. So like reverse engineering, if you know that school starts at 9 a.m., then plan your day like, okay, I'm going to feed the kids at 8:30. I'm going to wake them up at 8. Like if they want to shower or bathe or whatever in the morning, then we're going to get up at 7, that kind of thing. So controlling the situations that you can control. So that, and then also like maybe having like your school, like we're all going to be lunch ladies. So, like get your hairnet ready and like plan out your lunch, your lunches for the week. So I had the routine and then the designated learning zones too. Like we talked about that. Like you don't have to go out to IKEA and buy a freaking desk that you're going to have to like construct and teach your kids all the cuss words in the dictionary. Like just have an area, like a set area that you're going to have your kid learning at, noise canceling headphones. If you can get those, that's a really good idea. But those are the tips that we talked about on the podcast, and I hope I left some so I forget. Or we talk about her business the whole time. It's whatever.
No. I want to just hit on the distance learning space because I feel like I keep getting questions like, I don't know what to do. I was never a teacher. And like, I might be going a little bit extra with my space, but know that teachers in the classroom normally try to make it less like a classroom and more like home. And what do I mean by that? We have a reading corner where we try to get all cozy and have pillows. And I would always have a beach theme and bring in beach chairs or like some type of cozy spot. That's your couch or that's outside. Like, don't overthink things, right? When they're doing independent work, are they working at the kitchen table? That's great. But are other people around? You might want to shove a table into a different spot in your house. Like it doesn't have to be perfect. And I did do a blog post where I talked about the Costco like adjustable tables because I know like my middle guy, he's going into second grade and I'm worried about him sitting for 6 hours a day in front of a computer. So I have like my old stool from my classroom. That's like a different space. He has a wiggle seat from my classroom and he can also just stand up. Like that's what that table is for. I have it's a regular desk that's just a little bit higher that like, and if your kid is taller, just stack some books up where they can just stand up and work a little bit. Because it is a long time. Like we don't even sit in front of a computer screen for 6 hours a day. Like, I know teachers are getting very creative. I'm in a lot of teacher Facebook groups. This is not their fault, right?
Yeah.
I think everyone needs to just approach this year with a little bit of grace, know that everyone is learning something new. It's going to be hard, but I think, again, back to that mindset, like just this, we can do hard things, right? Like we've got this. We have to at least pretend we've got it for our kids. So
fake it till you make it, right? And then
exactly.
hopefully
Yeah.
next school year we're back in. But yeah.
Yeah. So definitely don't stress about that distance learning space. I think the biggest thing is to try to find a distraction-free area.
Yeah.
And like when it's nice out, we're going on our back deck and sitting at that table to work. So and switch it up. Like we teachers, like we had our kids go in the hallway. We're on the floor working on the carpet. Like we don't sit at desks during the day. So just remember that when you're like freaking out that, oh, I don't have a classroom, you don't need one. Like you really do have everything you need probably. So
I'm glad you brought that up because I hadn't really given that any thought. And you know, when I used to do Friday folders, the first year I did it and it was like 30 minutes in and out. And then the second year was like 3 hours. Like the teacher said very different. I was like, I never would have volunteered. And I know it was like a freaking part-time job. But anyway. But I did notice that during my very long stays in the classroom, like they literally, you know, they're not doing anything for more than like 20, 30 minutes at a time before they're getting up and going to lunch, to outdoors, recess, to whatever. And I'm just sitting there, you know, getting older, like sorting papers. But that's a really good point, to not put too much thought and energy, or not, I mean, just not to think that it has to be like a perfect little cubicle setting for your child. So I think that that's a great pointer, Kim. Thank you.
yeah, and again, like they're going to plan breaks. So if you're working from home, realize that your child is either, I don't know how exactly, every teacher will probably do it differently. Like, are they logging off and then logging back in? Like, those are things that hopefully the first couple of weeks we kind of get into a groove. But if your child teacher gives them a 5-minute break, somehow you need to make sure they're not just sitting there staring at a computer screen for that 5 minutes. Like, they need to be up, and like maybe you do want to have some brain breaks, like, you know, run around the house 5 times, like just silly little things that they can do on their own and get a little bit of exercise and just not be in front of that screen, because obviously they're learning, but there are going to be those planned breaks. So
Yeah, I think that's been like what I've seen from people that I've talked to, is like that's the concern, is like they already have a lot of screen time, and then now they're gonna be doing school online, and it's like they're just gonna be like us adults who just sit at our computers all day. So it's like I'm planning to like get my older teen, she kind of does her own thing, but my younger one that's 13, he's 8th grade, so like I'm planning to like make sure he goes out and plays some basketball and like go ride his bike and like just still like have a lot of movement time and PE so that, you know, he can stay moving, because that is a concern that they're going to be just sitting for so long every day.
right, and I do think that's a big change. Like my kids used to come home off the bus and be completely exhausted and needed like a TV show and a snack to kind of unwind. Well, like that has to look different this year, because they're not going to get off on one screen to go to another. Like, so just try to plan, like, do you have a break in your day where you can play a board game with them? Most schools I know of are planning for an hour for lunch and recess in the middle of the day. So like ours is at 10:45. Which is so early to me, but there is a 10:30 lunch bunch, we called it, or brunch time for schools. So during that time, I just have different activities planned for recess, like bike riding or tag outside, just getting them outside as much as possible. And honestly, like my middle one was in like this outdoor preschool class, and all the times where it was too cold, like for anyone in the county, we weren't going outside for recess. They were like, bundle your kids up, we go outside every day. And it's like, what? So, yeah. I mean, we're in Virginia, it gets much colder where I'm from in Rhode Island, and we're going outside every day. Even in the rain, they love to splash in the puddles. Like, it's just, you're going to drive yourself crazy, I think, if you don't get out of your house at some point in the day. So just try to plan in those breaks. And I know I'm rambling, but I did want to share, when this first happened, I saw a meme on Facebook that it was like an 18-year-old was being asked like, oh, do you remember that pandemic back in 2020? Like what do you remember about it? So he would have been, so this was in 10 years from now. So he was 8 and he was like, he didn't remember any of the stress. He just remembered playing a lot of board games and eating all the family dinners together. And that just like really hit home for me because I am stressed. I mean, we all are. We don't know what's happening. And Marcia, I know you said like there's always stress in the unknown. Like nobody really knows what's going on. Teachers don't know. Like we're all learning together. So just keeping that in mind, like our kids are going to remember like that we were around during this time, whether we're working, whether we're, hopefully not screaming all day. This happened, I know, but like just trying to stay positive and every time we finish, I try to say, okay, so every time we finish dinner, sorry, I didn't finish that sentence. I try to say like, so what was one good thing that happened today? And it can be, I didn't hit Noah today. That's not a good example, but
it's real, and that's what we do here.
Siblings
right?
do hit each other.
Yeah,
that's what Landon was saying. So anyway, we are working on finding the good in every day, and even if we have tough days, because of course everyone's going to have a hard day. But honestly, teachers have hard days in school too. So it's a lot, but we can do it.
Yeah.
So I know for me, I telework. So, because I do work full time, but I'm fortunate that I have a job that lets me, be able to work from home. What do you think for people who maybe can't work from home or have more difficulty, like merging those schedules? Like if they have a lot of meetings during the day, and so they've got to figure out how to manage their own work schedule and then now the school for the children. Like what would you say is a good way to kind of make that work?
So I think it depends on the ages of your children, how independent they are also, because age doesn't always equal independence, right? Some fifth graders I've taught are very needy. Some first graders could probably do it on their own. I'm actually teaching a little learning pod. So that's kind of what those moms decided to do. They're all working full time. They have a nanny, and then I'm coming in twice a week to kind of supplement their online learning. And those kids, I mean, they're very young. So it just kind of depends on your situation and what's going to work best for you. I know we've already gotten an example schedule for both second and third grades. So I've kind of gone through and it's like, okay, we all have lunch from 10:45 to 11:45. I'm going to come back to a lunch tip in a minute. And then we all have, when do they have specials? When do they have, and those are sometimes that maybe you might have to be more involved. So I don't know, as a working mom, if you have like control over your meetings, just trying to plan like, okay, well, they're done with everything by 1:30 every day. Could I make them go outside and plan some important meetings when I'm not going to be distracted? But other than that, I think you have to just ask for help. I know my neighbor and I help each other out a lot. Just, we need a break. The boys are outside. So however, I really think this is a year of however you can make it work.
Yeah, and it takes a village. Lean on the village.
This is not the time to prove just how much weight you can carry on your shoulders. Like this is not a time. Yeah, this is a time for humility and vulnerability and letting people know. Because you know what, when other people know that you're struggling, it makes them feel more comfortable sharing that they're struggling too.
Absolutely.
So yeah.
I think everybody struggled a little bit, at least since March. So
yeah. Do you want to go into it? No, just kidding. Stay on focus, guys. We're gonna stay on focus.
I did want to mention something that really helped me for lunch. I was very angry in the spring, I'm not gonna lie, because just of how everything went down, right? I was in meetings all day on our last day of school. And I remember my principal specifically saying, like, we're not shutting down because of this. It's not going to happen. The school board just met. And then we get a phone call at 5 a.m. And it was just like very, very abrupt and very, it was just, nobody knew what was happening. March seemed like the longest year ever. It was a lot. And then on top of that, my kids are younger. So they're like, they need a snack every 30 seconds. Then they needed I just couldn't handle it. So I started, I am a little bit of a micromanager. We have a snack time. And I started making their lunches like they were going to school. They have their little lunch boxes.
Yeah.
I made their lunches, their bagel, their crunchy, their fruit, their veggie, everything's in there. They are old enough to go wash their hands, pull out that lunchbox, sit at the table and eat themselves. So if you did have a call during lunch or, you know, you had to get something done, I have to put my toddler down for her nap during their lunch. So they're going to be pretty independent during that time. But that was like a saving grace for me because I'm like, we are not eating 24/7. This is not happening. I can't even go to Costco right now.
Right. It's like you have like a limited supply of food. So stop messing up my meal plan. Yeah, I love that suggestion because we ran into the same situation with my kids. I was like, look, Fruit Loops, I know you don't eat this many times at school. Like you can have your snack. And I literally had like a written down schedule of like a feeding schedule and a like reading and writing schedule. And they were, you know.
Yeah, no, I love that.
In that routine. And I know we talked about routines and systems, and I've seen a lot of those funny memes on Facebook where it's like buying new pajamas for school. But like, I really do think you want to get some back to school clothes, like make it as real. Like I'm already planning our, you know, back to school picture. I got matching shirts for the boys.
Oh, Kim, you didn't. I don't believe that for a second.
Okay, they were $5 at Target. I had to grab them. Right. Anyway.
Yeah.
No, I agree though. And that's what I said on the podcast too, is like, I think the saving grace through everything that you don't know and all the uncertainty is having that structure and that routine that you can depend on. And you can kind of rely on that to keep things together so that, you know, you don't completely fall apart with all this craziness.
Yeah.
But doing like every year we do new shoes. Like it's a thing that we do with my mother-in-law. She takes us to the mall, and me and my sister-in-law, who's a teacher, bless her. She's poor thing. It's just a hard time for teachers. It's a really hard time. We actually, Karen and I interviewed Kim 2 years ago in 2018, right before she actually drove us to the airport for us to go to LA. Remember, Karen? Yeah. And we talked about then like how much you need to respect teachers and the struggle. And it's like now, like I need you to like 10x it because this is like a really difficult time for them. But anyway, my kid after vacation this year, we ended up going to the lake. You know, we had the same annual vacation that we have is a little different with, you know, separate tables for meals and stuff outdoors. And but my kid on the way home, he goes, I'm just sad that we're not going back to school shopping for shoes because he's a total shoe guy. I don't know where he got it from, but we ended up getting the boys new shoes. And it's like, you know, we're not going to have that. Like, I mean, maybe we will, maybe I'll be inspired by Kim and like actually take the picture out front in front of the house, you know, but I think that's important if you have the means for it. Any type of tradition that you normally do, like that's going to give them like a little sense of security and like, you know, it's just fun. Like it's fun for them to do those tradition type things, and it'll help. So I think that's a great.
Yeah, because I was very anti back to school shopping. What do they need clothes for? Nobody's gonna see them. Like, you know, and then I kind of had to sit back and take my own advice and be like, they need this just as much as, and I mean, when I say back to school shopping, I mean like free new t-shirts. I'm not going crazy.
That's really
just clarify.
Custom bespoke suits. Like
but they're excited about it, and like it's just anyway, like literally anything you can hold on to this year, I think is just the most important. I'm just looking over my notes here.
I wanted to ask you, Kim, because I know that you have recently done something for moms. Like you have maybe a book club of sorts that has both a component for moms and for kids, because you know the moms are.
Yeah. A lot of moms are reaching out and being like, I don't know how to teach my kid to read. What can I do? How can I help them? I'm not a teacher. And like, you're right. You're not a teacher. You're not expected to know that. Your teacher can help you and give you suggestions, obviously. And I think this is the year that we're all kind of like panicking a little bit. So I do have a mom's like support group. We're going to talk about reading strategies, but it's also like a community of moms to kind of talk about and ask me questions if I can help, like what is a typical second grader doing at this point? And And how can I help with the first month we're talking about like questioning and how to ask the right questions and how to teach your kids to be asking questions as they're reading. So every month we pick a different topic, and I'm kind of going to let the group guide itself after the first couple of months to see like, oh, do you have a lot of comprehension questions? Are you asking me about decoding? Those kinds of things. And then we'll meet together on Zoom. I'll do a short little training. Everyone gets, you know, a little bit of homework, printables they can do with their kids. And then we'll meet again and kind of touch base to see like what's going on, what's working, what's still unclear, what do you need help with, that kind of thing. So that's like the mom's adventures in reading that I'm running. And then I was also going to say, this is a good time kind of for your child to pick up a new hobby if you have that like time to put into it, right? So like I was at the pediatrician the other day and they said that like, is your child interested in coding? Do they like, you know, do they want to learn a new language? Do they want to be a part of a book club? Because I can help with that. But just different things like my boys are super into animals. We've been researching animals all summer. They love it, but I look at it as a good thing because they're reading and they're writing and they're just like little sponges at this age. So just remember that too, like it does give us a little bit of flexibility in like, they're not in school from 7 to 3 anymore. So we do have a little bit of extra time to practice soccer together or, you know, go for a nature walk in the middle of the day during that 1 hour break, like just different things. If you can swing it, it might be fun to look into their interests. So yes, I also have a book club for 2nd and 3rd graders for kids to enroll in that also starts in September. And similar, we'll be reading like a book club, like a book for the whole month. So they are smaller books, so it is a little bit trickier, but I have them all mapped out, lots of things to talk about. And basically it's another way to interact. It is virtual, so it is more screens, but we'll be talking about books and they'll be writing about books as well. So fun.
Yeah,
Sorry,
I love it. It sounds like fun too. And I mean, I don't have a 2nd or a 3rd grader, but if I did, I'm sure I would jump in. But I think like I know what you say a lot is that you have to make it fun. So like I love what we've been talking about like just keeping some of your traditions, you know, finding ways to make reading fun and school in general, because this is important, right? I mean, they need to get educated no matter how it's happening. So it's like we don't have an option to just be like, oh, I'm not going to deal with it. Like we have to figure it out. So don't let it overwhelm you. You know, don't let it be too stressful. But just kind of jump in and you know make it happen.
Yeah, and I think either you or Marcia said like you can only control what you can control, right? That's honestly why I quit my part-time job with the county, because I didn't have control over their schedule or childcare. I couldn't figure anything out. So I had to make a plan for myself and do things that I can control. And obviously a lot of things are out of our control, but once you look at that schedule, I was so angry that Noah had specials at 9 a.m. Why does he have to have specials at 9 o'clock? He's going to be in the zone and then he's going to get off. You know, and I'm like, what am I doing? Yeah, you have PE at 9 a.m. Like, that's what I need to be going in with my mindset and just being like, it's going to work out. He's probably going to need a wiggle break then anyway. You know, now we're not going to skip specials because it's at 9 a.m. because honestly, I might have skipped specials if it wasn't.
If it was at the end of the day, yeah.
But again, like giving those teachers grace because they also don't have any control over any of this. Like we are learning as we go. I mean, superintendents are learning as they go. This isn't really anybody's fault. I mean, so it's just a lot of control what you can control, and you can control the energy and the atmosphere in your own home and your own kids. And it looks like that's what it's going to be this year. So
yeah, that's one of those things that it's like just extend energy on the things that you can actually like make a change on. Like, is this going to be the thing that you want to go down in history for? Like, oh yeah, that Kim was complaining because her kids got to work out at 9 a.m. You know, like it's like is that like choose your battles, because like we're all there's like nothing's ideal, but like if it was a big deal, then just know you'll go to bat for that. But like, just try to have grace with the school system and with yourself and with your children. And, you know, this is, not the time to spin out over things that you could change, but maybe you shouldn't. And if you do, like, if you hear something like Kim's book club that interests you, like, check it out and see if that's like a good venue for your child to learn, because her mission is to get kids to, I don't know your exact mission statement, Kim, and I probably should because we're business best friends, but like, you know, her mission is to get kids to fall in love with reading, so that it's not just learning. So it's, you know, it's having fun with the books. And so that's what she's focusing on. So like having a little pod of kids that they're doing that with regularly, that could be a treat for your child, you know, and it's taking less of a load off of your shoulders that you have to teach them how to read. So outsource to the experts, you know, like if you can. Yeah.
And I'm just going to plug a little bit of research that current reading research is saying that if your child enjoys reading, it's literally half the battle to reading success. So you can, you know, drill the letters and the sounds and have them write their alphabet 20 times. Please don't do that. But
she's like, this is not a suggestion.
Yeah. But if they actually enjoy books and want to read the books, and you find a series that you can get them hooked on and just loving them, that is like literally half the battle. There's even research saying, because we always talk about just write books as teachers, there's research saying now that if your child is like truly interested in the topic, I mean, think of all those dinosaur names that my kids were pronouncing at like 3 or 4, and I had no idea what they were talking about. That's super intense vocabulary that normally you would say, oh, that's not on their reading level, they can't read that book. But if they're interested in it, then they're going to figure out how to read it. They're going to ask the questions. They're going to use their reading strategies. So just keep that in mind. And if you're going to splurge on anything, don't buy the Target back to school t-shirts. Buy some books for your kids, because I am really worried about the reading on the screens. Like, I do think we need to get back to physical books.
Yeah, paper books. I agree. Yeah, and reading, I mean, it's kind of cliche, but it's fundamental. Like, literally, it affects everything else that they learn in school. So it's like, that is a very important thing to get right and to have attention on. So you don't want to skimp on that. So, but yeah, I agree. Paper books. You see my bookshelf back there. I love. Yeah, I'm all about the paper.
Karen always gifts us with books too. She's like the best friend to have, because she's like, I got a book for you, because she's always a part of like launches and stuff. I love it. And I wanted to say too, just because this happened to me personally or my family, but with the Kindles and the screen time and everything, like, we know that it's not good for your eyesight. So if your child is acting out in ways, because we had a situation where I had to pull my car over and I couldn't figure out what was happening with my kid. And that's like when we started putting in the like the strict screen times. But he was like, my head feels like it's going to explode when I'm reading. And so we were like, oh, like it was an actual, like, he was having a physical pain response to the screen. So I was like, we will just buy you paper books from now on. Like, you know, Amazon, you can go on Amazon and have them delivered, or I don't know if libraries are open. I don't know. I don't get out much, but but like, yeah, it's, you know, just, or like, I don't know if the white paper Kindle is different, like the one that actually looks like a book. I don't know if that has the same type of.
I don't know, but I will say on my back to school list shopping blog, I did put in like blue light glasses are definitely, we got.
I use those, yeah.
Yeah, my 3rd grader wears his glasses that already have it, but I did buy a pair for my 2nd, just because, again, of that screen time. And it's really great, Marcia, that your son was able to like explain that to you, because a lot of kids are not able to do that.
That was the thing though, what he was acting out, and I was like, what is going on? I'm like, this, like, he loves like the Diary of Wimpy Kids, and you know, like, it was just I could tell that it was something weird. And then he said that, and I was like, does it only happen when you're reading? And like, you know, so it's like sometimes your kids act out and it's because of they don't know how to communicate it. So like, if if you're noticing that when school does start back, like maybe that's when you need to do more family walks or like getting them out of the house or that kind of thing. Like, cause it, yeah.
And I will say, just do a mental health check every day somehow. Like we're talking about
Yeah.
one good thing that happened, but it's also like, you know, what's bothering you today? Really lean in and listen, because their behavior might be telling you something, and they might not be able to articulate it. But like I think like you're going to be around them all the time, so you will be able to figure out something's not right. You know, I have every intention of sticking with distance learning. I think teachers are going to try their best, but honestly, if they're acting out and they're not, you know, they're not going to be able to learn if they're not in a good spot.
Right.
Like
Yeah.
as moms, that's our job to kind of keep those check-ins going, and teachers are going to try, and morning meetings are great, but again, everything's virtual, so you are going to need to spend that face-to-face time. Get a quarantine buddy, like get a family that you feel comfortable with, that you can, you know, let your kids have that face-to-face time with, and they need peers that they're not seeing on the screen all day too. So
Yeah, and another suggestion too, this was how I used to get words out of my kids, was like either laying with them at night, like laying in bed with them, they'll talk to you, or like car trips. Like I would take them in the car, and when we were driving somewhere, they would talk to me because there's nothing else to do but talk to mom, you know? So like that, if you are noticing like any type of behavioral changes, like that's something that you can do, is just like get them out of their normal four walls and, you
yeah,
know, try to get
I
them
know
to
about
communicate.
you, but I miss going to coffee shops. So sometimes I'm like,
I
Robin,
miss it
want to
so
get
much.
some coffee?
Yeah.
We need to get out of here.
Yeah.
I hope you're not giving your kids coffee, but
No, that's for me.
oh, right.
We gotta
Oh,
keep
and
for a donut.
Kim has the funnest because she's doing the book club for the moms and then the book club for the kids. And if you go onto her Instagram, it's at Creative Reading Adventures. Then you can vote for the kids if they should have white or red.
Yeah.
Grapefruit or grape. What is it? Grape
Grape
boxes.
juice, yeah.
Grape juice.
Little
Yeah.
juice boxes. What should we cheers with? Oh, I called it purple, but I guess red would be more like mine. But
Yeah. Red and white grapes. You know.
Yeah. I went with purple. I was like, purple.
Yeah, that was my favorite. Oh.
Well, we could probably talk about this for hours, but we don't want to keep you all day. So thanks, Kim. This has been great. If there's any last things you guys want to mention, I don't know. I put in the description a link to Kim's Instagram, and also to go check out the book club. So yeah, don't be afraid to ask for help, get support.
Mm-hmm.
Like Kim said, lean in, listen, have conversations with your kids, just stay connected, don't stress. Focus on what you can control. I think I got it all.
Yeah.
Structure and routines.
make sure you're doing a mental health check-in for you too, right?
Right.
You guys
Yeah.
are awesome, but make sure you have that support that you need as well as a mom. So,
Yep.
Yep.
All right.
Bye.
Bye.